I am Lauren Taylor. I am a special education teacher in Saratoga. I work at Saratoga High School. I primarily work with students with minor learning disabilities or students who are on the autism spectrum, but very um, minor presentation of their autism. I went to a private Catholic school as a kid from kindergarten to eighth grade in a pretty affluent area, and I was from a neighboring town that wasn't affluent. I grew up with really young parents, which kind of set me apart quite a bit from my peers. It was pretty different from my peers. I also struggled much more in school than the rest of the kids did. I had a really hard time. There weren't a lot of other kids that like me that struggled. And kind of looking back, I don't think I struggled as much, but it was just more pronounced because the school was so accelerated. So I had a really difficult time in elementary school, and I had a really low opinion of myself and my abilities, and my intellect and what I was capable of. And then once I got to high school, which I went to a public high school, it was pretty easy. I worked hard ish, and I got B's and C's, it's totally fine. And then once I got to college, I did super well. So I got pretty much all A's all the way through college. So I think that my trajectory through the educational system has had a really tremendous impact on me because it's made me have to work extremely hard and understand that I'm probably going to have to work harder than most people. And I think it also set me up for being able to be successful at my job and relate to my students in a way that I feel like the majority of my colleagues can't. I think my role as the union vice president has encouraged me to really understand the community on a level that I didn't before I had that role. Um, and I've, over the last year or two, as we work to endorse some new school board candidates for the school board that were teacher friendly and really wanted to support students the way that we teachers see that students need to be supported. I've come to meet a lot of people and be involved more in things around the city. And I think through that, I think that was really kind of the catalyst for my involvement in understanding the city. I feel like authenticity is probably a big value for me. I'm pretty much like what you see is what you get. I'm a pretty straight shooter for the most part. I'm pretty direct. I think that's really important because, especially in the line of work that I'm in, where people sometimes don't pick up on nuances and shades of meaning and things, like I feel like it's best to be really direct so that people understand and also people know the path forward. I think that's really important. Empathy is super important to me because, not to be trite or cliche, but there's the whole like everyone's fighting a battle you don't know about. I feel like it's super true. And I get to see that on a daily basis in the lives of my students. So I think that empathy and checking your ego at the door is really important. So that's kind of a value to me too. It's a really diverse place. I think that because of its proximity to Silicon Valley, and it attracts the best of the best from all over the world. When I joined the teachers union as a leader, I really wanted to approach it with keeping students at the forefront. And so all of the decisions that I kind of guide and suggest and I'm part of making in the teachers union are not like, how do we make everything better for teachers? It's how do we as teachers leverage the skills that we have to support the students that we serve? I've found people at school that have similar values and approaches to education as I do, and we kind of just naturally end up working together and collaborating. I think that's probably the biggest way. I'd say one person within this direct school Saratoga community that has been inspiring to me in the past has probably been Chris Ori, who's another teacher at this school who shares a similar view of education and how to teach and the kind of activities that allow students to build and construct meaning in ways separate from sit down, get a lecture, write down some notes, which is kind of the traditional way of teaching. Every day I'm faced with kids and their mental health being impacted by the classes they choose and by the classes they don't choose. And that's all as a result of this extremely competitive culture at Saratoga. I would love to see how you can address this rampant problem using the fact that you're so good at talking to people, that people trust you, that you have a similar background that you can totally relate and understand, and you can bring light to that through your film work.